Hi, I'm going to be playing through William Mahan's The Treasure of San Ysidro. I'm not even sure if that's how to pronounce that. But Mr. Mahan wrote beautiful melodies. He still writes beautiful melodies, but he writes them from the piano keyboard. And so on occasion, there might be a passage that's a little bit awkward. And what I'm going to do is stop at each of those passages and discuss why they might be awkward, why they're easier at the piano. And my hope is that when you see passages like this in your music, be it piano music, harp music, whatever you want to sit down and play with ease, that you're able to look at those passages and make changes that will make it easier for your brain and your body to play them. So I'll just start from the beginning and I will stop when there's an awkward passage. Right there for me, that's a little bit awkward. That's measure 5. Just because it's written in the bass clef doesn't mean that you have to play it in the bass clef. And I am very much into playing smooth and with good phrasing. So what I would do with that passage is I would play these two notes with my right hand, and then that brings my right hand back up here. I just think it's a little bit easier. Sometimes I don't feel that crossing under on the harp is comfortable. If you want to cross under, that's fine. But I find it easier to do something like this. Now, why didn't I just play that all with the right hand? Because then I have to jump up to this B and be ready to play this passage. I have to be ready with my thumb here. I could have easily done this, but then my thumb is not in a position to play the next note smoothly. That's not unharpistic at all. I didn't place correctly. Rather than do something like this, you can do that, but I kind of ran out of fingers because I didn't look ahead. So you can do this, or you can do this. And once again, just like in measure 5, use the 4th finger on the G. That's measure 25. Let's see. Another thing you could do in measure 25 is simply skip the last 2 measures of the left hand, rather than replacing that whole 3-note passage. Because this is a little bit dissonant there. And just because it's written on the paper doesn't mean you have to play it that way. The only time you really have to play something really as written is if it's going to be used for a competition. But modern music, especially music by Mr. Mahan, he always says, just play it freely, play it freely. consider playing that measure 30. Because if you notice measure 30, the end of it, you have a quick jump back down to an A that's actually 2 octaves lower than where you were. And that's a big jump to make with no rest in between. So I might consider doing, so while the right hand is taking these 2 notes, it gives the left hand a chance to reach down. Measure 36, you'll notice the left hand has this. Oops. And it's a really big stretch. I can't reach from the D at the end of measure 36 to the low F at the end of measure 37 to make it smooth. So I'm going to use my right hand to play. Measure 37. The end of measure 37, you have a C in the left hand. And at the beginning of measure 38, you also have that C re-articulated in the right hand. I would say don't even play the C at all. Let the C that you just played in your left hand ring, and then the right hand section there will be a little bit easier and smoother. You'll notice that that C is still ringing. So I'm going to play 37 and 38. Let's see. So what I think is a little bit easier and starting in measure 40 is I'm going to cut out the last 2 notes of the left hand. The last 2 eighth notes would be the A and the E. Same thing with measure 41, 42. I just think that those are a little bit hard to play. I think it's just easier to do this. The reasoning for that is, if you'll notice, you've just played the E and the A in the left hand of measure 40. If you re-articulate those notes, they're still ringing from when you just played them a moment before. Same thing with measure 41. You've played these 2 notes, so I'm going to say don't re-articulate them. That's much easier. The piano doesn't ring as long as the harp, especially a Dusty Strings harp has a lot of resonance. So that's why I take a few liberties when it comes to left hand re-articulated notes with eighth notes continually happening. Finger there. That B, even though it's written in the left hand, it's just easier to play that B, the highest note in the left hand passage in measure 51. And then those 2 measures are repeated. Okay, so we're going to turn the page and we're going to go to measure 53. And at this point, you could put the last two notes, the last two eighth notes of the left hand back if you want to. Notice how that sounds like the X-Files. Okay. So I think that I would play the last left-hand note of measure 55 with the right hand, and I would not re-articulate that C, because just let it ring. Because when you re-articulate it, it sounds like this. If you don't re-articulate it, you can very, very much so still hear that C ringing, and I just think it sounds a little bit smoother. This is a situation in going from measure 63 to 64. You've just played that C. It's still ringing. So I'm not going to play it again. I'm going to start at 63. I think that makes it sound a little bit more mysterious, a little bit more ethereal. Let's see. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and so I would take that with the left hand. Oh, right, so I would take 3 of those left hand notes with the right hand. I just... I put my pointer finger there. That if you're not going to play it, don't put it there. So I shouldn't have put it there. Now that's a situation where you probably have to play this passage with the left hand and do an crossing under.